Okay, the recording has started, and this is the January 12th, 2021 Rook Community Meeting. Let's go ahead and jump into some of the upcoming milestones. Looks like we do have a patch release for 1.4 that will be going out tomorrow, 1.4.9. Travis, do you want to get us updated on the important issues included in that one?
Yep, I think it's probably been 6 weeks, I think, since our last 1.4 release. So to pick up a few little fixes, but also like updating the base image of the operator, the Ceph operator, to the latest Ceph release, which has some CVEs fixed to security things. It's good to pick up, and also just kind of getting, let's see, the Helm. So that Helm issue you see there, I added later in the agenda, but we can talk about it now. Basically, what this is, I've known about this for a long time, and I'm surprised nobody really reported on it until now, but it's really a good thing to fix. So after we release a new minor release, so 1.5 in this case, we haven't been running the promote pipeline because we don't want, right?
Sorry, I just realized what it would be too. Sorry for interrupting.
Right. The promote pipeline is what publishes our Helm chart. And so I was always worried that, if we publish the Helm chart, maybe that will, like the 1.4 will now become the default Helm chart that users get instead of the latest 1.5. And so I was never clear on how that overlap worked with the Helm chart. But I clarified, I didn't find it in the Helm documentation, but I clarified with the Helm community in Slack, at least, that yes, the latest version that Helm determines really is the latest Semver and not the most recent time-wise that's published. So I'm working on that change hopefully today. I don't think it'll be difficult. I just want to confirm and double check and triple check that running the promote pipeline doesn't cause any issues or conflicts with
yeah, Travis, and I don't think it will. And I do also have some confidence that if you were to promote an older 1.4.x, if that didn't do exactly what you wanted to, like Helm was identifying that one as the new alpha or stable or whatever channel it is, that you could rerun the latest 1.5 promote, and that will get that one back into the head or latest state that you would want.
Right. And it sounds like we shouldn't need that though, if it's just looking at Semver, but yeah.
Yeah, and we also do the promote does the promote would work on the container images as well too, right? Or is that just, we don't have a promote specific just for Helm, right?
Well, it promotes the images and the Helm chart, and I think the action also will theoretically do something with the docs, but I didn't see a promote.helm. I mean, a promote.docs. I only saw promote.helm and promote.images.
Yeah, the images one might be interesting because it might it might then put, because we do like a dash alpha or whatever, like within the container, the image name, like we tag, use the alpha or whatever channel tag, we put that on that image that you just specified to promote. So that may overwrite, like the 1.5 being latest release as being the one that also has the stable tag on it. So that you may need to rerun it to correct that.
And I think we're actually okay there too, because some time ago, was it last summer maybe, I made a change to it so that we don't use those labels on the images anymore. It's just the pure version number.
Oh, those images, those labels aren't even applied anymore.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So I think we will be good with the promote pipeline, but just need to double check.
Yeah, and if not, I think that any of those steps there are, you could just run it again for the latest 1.5 and get back to a good state, either in the images if something funny happens, or the chart if something funny happens. So I think I have some confidence in at least that escape hatch there.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
Cool.
Alrighty, yeah.
That's funny. You had this one in your mind. You know, you knew it was an issue for a while, and then it took a while for somebody to find it.
Well, in my mind, it was also like, oh, it'll encourage people to upgrade to the latest minor release, I guess. But some, people don't always do that as aggressively as others, which is totally understandable. Yeah.
Got it.
So that's that.
Okay. So we move on to 1.5 patch release as well too. This week, later on in the week, we're planning on doing a 1.5.
Yeah. Just
Bring that
to
up.
same sort of thing, just kind of on the cadence. No critical issues with this that I can think of, although I might be forgetting something since the new year. Yeah, a couple things are in progress, but I don't think anything blocking either. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, one thing related to 1.4 as well on that release. So there was, with Helm 2 being deprecated, we were using Helm 2 up until the 1.5 release, and I hadn't backported that to 1.4, but really all of our older builds are broken on Helm 2. So I did make a smaller change that we could backport to 1.4, so we can get the Helm build even working again in 1.4. So that's already merged.
Excellent.
But that did require also a couple other changes that, like updating the CRDs to V1.
Oh, Travis, I can't hear you right now. You seem to have cut out. Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, let me repeat that last thing again. So that there will be, I wanted to do the minimal backport to 1.4 as possible, but Helm 3 was requiring me to update the CRDs. So we have V1 CRDs for the Helm chart in that 1.4 patch release, which I tested it as good as I could. I don't see any issues with that upgrade in a patch release, but something just to be aware of.
Yeah, interesting. So like the CRDs for like you're not talking about like Helm related CRDs. You're talking about just like Ceph related CRDs, right?
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And in general, we haven't had many problems with like when we upgraded. We did a release that had the upgrade of those CRDs in the mainline, the most recent releases. That was smooth enough as well there too. It didn't have any specific migration steps?
Yeah, it's really been smooth. The only report was where we missed one of the settings devices in the schema. And so actually I should try to make sure that's backported as well to 1.4.
Yeah. Yeah, don't try not to repeat that one. Yeah, good idea.
Okay, anyway, so that's it for 1.5 as well, I think.
Okay.
And then
1.6 quarterly release.
Quarter release, yeah, no real update there. I feel like we've just been catching up from the new year and getting the builds working for 1.4 and 5, and focus now. Soon I expect to turn to 1.6 really.
Cool.
But yep. Anybody else have questions there on the releases? Okay.
All right, we can move on to the community topics section here. So yeah, Travis, you were able to meet with so you've put forward this plan here. You were able to meet with the Yugabyte folks just last week, and you have an update on that, it looks like.
Yep. So to report back from them, they have been largely not in the Rook community. So it's like, where are they? Well, we found them. So thanks for their contact info. And they've had some turnover in the team. So the original people who worked on the Rook operator, they're not there anymore, basically. So that's part of the challenge. But at the end of the day, they do have a separate SDK based operator. And like they've added a couple of features to it that aren't in Rook. And so we talked about, well, why do they have the two operators? What would it take to doesn't really make sense for them long term to support 2 operators. So which one are they going to go support? And we talked through what that means. Like, do they add the features to Rook and start using Rook full time, or do they basically pull out of Rook and focus on their operator SDK based one? So that it's really up to them to decide, and that's what I was open with them. You know, whatever they feel is best for them, and we'll support it. And I feel like we'll still be willing to like link from our website to theirs, as kind of they have participated in Rook. So we'll figure out what it means. Really, we don't have a conclusion yet. I haven't heard back from them since that meeting.
Cool. Is there a timeline for when they'll be getting back to us, Travis?
They did not say. I'll ping them probably later this week and see, so we can know next meeting. I'd like to know by the next meeting what they're thinking, for sure.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks for having that conversation. And I wasn't able to make that time slot.
Yeah. And on a related note, kind of the next bullet, just a couple of thoughts about storage provider support that I'm not sure were clear yet in my doc, but I think, and I was talking to Sebastian and Blaine about this. So having a separate repo for storage providers that are supported, I think it will just be all around a good, clear delineation of who owns what the ship cycle is, or release cycles, issues, PRs, and everything, which are 99% of the time, or maybe not that often, but it's specific to that storage provider. And then the common, we can have in a common place, of course, but that's the real key to make these operators efficient from a project standpoint. And like if EdgeFS comes back and says, yes, okay, we're ready to replace our operator, that'd be a good time to look at the separate repo, for example. But yeah, I really like the idea. The logistics of getting it done, I don't feel like I've worked out my mind yet, because it'll be a pain. But we're going to say something, Jared?
Oh no, I mean, in general, I think that is not a bad thing at all. Like it becomes more easy to focus and maintain on we've done some kind of like some tricks to, be able to build only a specific provider within the monolith repo. So it's kind of taking that a step further and providing further isolation and independence. And that's nothing I have a problem with at all.
One thing that will really help with that conversion. Oh, go ahead, Seb.
No, just real quick. Hi guys, sorry for
hey, Seb.
Hey, happy New Year. For example, when we do code hygiene and stuff like that, when we bump versions of, let's say, controller runtime, these can also affect other operators too. And having to do the work for stale operators is also feels like unnecessary work to do that as well. It's like extra work. Yeah, extra work.
Yeah,
especially if we're breaking them.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're not the code owner of that, of those other storage providers, you don't necessarily have the insight to make sure to understand or assess the impact that a change has.
Yeah.
Cool. That's not unreasonable.
Yeah, and one thing that I think will make this conversion simpler to separate them out too is the GitHub Actions, where we really want to do everything in GitHub Actions instead of Jenkins, because if we don't have to maintain the Jenkins and separate pipelines and whatever, it's just GitHub Actions, like it'll be a lot smoother to do that transition. So we're still working on that conversion for even the triggering the release builds and master CI and all of that. It's fully working for the PR CI, the CI for PRs. We just need to do the rest of it. Yep, that's it.
All right.
Jared, sorry, one question.
Yep.
Have you noticed, or next time you're looking at the billing on the outbound side, I'm curious if you've seen a drop in the costs since we started that conversion.
Oh yeah. To using GitHub Actions more.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good question. Yeah, I have not looked recently, but that would be really good to know. Cool. Somewhat related, I guess. So the Rook.releases and the Rook.charts repos, buckets, sorry, are those are still part of Upbound's AWS account, and just to have the like sovereignty, ownership, all that sort of stuff, that makes more sense to move that to the shared Rook AWS account, so that all of the resources, the AWS resources, are there under a single account, and everyone has access to them as well too. So that we have a proposal here to migrate those buckets over to the Rook AWS account, and I've kind of outlined what the steps would be there to do that. And then the proposal also includes a little bit of downtime for Jenkins to during the migration of copying everything over, and so we're not having like duplicates or split brain or anything like that. Do you see any? Are there any big concerns or anything with that, Travis, Seb, Alex, Blaine?
I
guess
that good. Go ahead.
This implies there is already a Rook AWS account.
Yeah. We already have. That's the one that's running the EC2 instances for Jenkins and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Otherwise, I don't know if GitHub has like bucket storage that we might be able to use, but it seems like that's not entirely necessary. So,
well, I think we can use, I think if it's depending on how we use it, we could use the assets, I guess, from the releases.
Yeah. I don't know if with the CNCF, since we get extra GitHub Action runners, I don't know if we also get any like benefits for like storage space or anything. That's another thing we could possibly think about here, but is not necessary.
Yeah, I'm not super up to date on. I have a fairly minimal knowledge with GitHub Actions and such, and I don't know if whatever storage, like assets of releases, etc., are because we do this for every master build too, right? It's not just releases; it's a chart and images, etc., for and binaries, blah blah blah, for every single master build as well too. But I don't know how, if you can do like set up a Helm chart repo, etc., because like Rook.charts is essentially the backing store for that, like our Helm repository. And I don't know if you can do the same thing with GitHub, whatever GitHub has for that related to actions.
Yeah.
You can, cool. I think, use GitHub Pages to a certain extent for that.
Pages, like the static website stuff?
Yeah.
Is that an intended use case, or is that a sneaky Alex use case?
Well, I'm not the only one using it like that. So now for real, like I have a Git repository basically, well, simply called charts, and like there's GitHub Actions and all that to build and even lint validate like the Helm charts, and then it will be built and pushed onto the GitHub Pages, which is on the GitHub Pages branch, I think, or something like that. Like it's.
And then you can get releases out of that too. So
yeah, I think
on the GitHub page you can.
Yeah. I can go ahead and post a link if anyone interested in the.
Yeah, can you add it to the agenda doc, Alex?
Yeah, sure. I can.
Yeah, so that just go ahead and edit it and add that idea there.
Though I'm not too sure if it would fit for our case, because that case, at least from a point, would be you have the repository with the chart with the Helm charts as a whole, either like a separate repository, or it would be integrated into the existing GitHub Action workflows, for example, that we have right now in the Rook repository, or in split up repositories then.
Yeah, there's definitely, it sounds like some more things to understand there. The lowest cost from a implementation, engineering perspective, with the least amount of risk in terms of, changing moving parts, or a system that's kind of been in place for a few years now. So, since like the 0.0.1 or 2 or something like that, that the lowest risk would be, just moving them to a new S3 bucket that the Rook account owns. With a absolutely minimal number of changes there. So that's what I'm inclined to do, but I'm interested in these other innovative ideas here as well. I just don't know enough about them to assess them properly.
Well, no.
Yeah,
And you're giggling too.
I'm also interested in the lower risk one, so that's or simpler one to do.
Yeah, fair.
But interesting ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just as a like, I'm using it for a repository with two like Helm charts, like just two, and you know, it seems to be possible. So just as a hey, for your information, technically, well, we could use it.
Yeah, Blaine, I will add this to my notes of things to chat with the CNCF in our next sync up there. So I'll remember to bring that up.
Awesome.
Yeah, also, Jared, I think that if we can just plan around when we're not planning a batch release, which is simple enough, and we give it a couple of days where we just agree we're not doing any releases, hopefully that'll be sufficient time, and we wouldn't even need to disable the charts from master or whatever. If we lose a couple of master builds, for example, it'd be fine while this is in progress.
Yes. So yeah, not doing it around like a patch release. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll coordinate. Arthur, our Abound SRE infrastructure guy, he could drive this for us. And we'll coordinate. We'll get in the Rook Slack and we'll coordinate. Maybe on the test channel, we've done a lot of talking about Jenkins and builds and stuff like that there. So we'll coordinate there and make sure that we don't just start pulling switches and stuff when the community isn't ready.
Perfect.
Cool. Alrighty. Blaine, the next agenda item here is yours.
Yeah, I know we had been doing outreachy updates. There is, I guess, a sort of final one, at least for now. Madavi, our intern, accepted a local job offer, which makes her ineligible for outreachy. I mean, I think that's better for her in the long run. But I asked her to add like Rook open source contributions to her LinkedIn, even though she can't add anything with outreachy, and left her a recommendation there. But yeah, I think that's the update. I don't know if anyone has any questions or.
Sounds good. It was a short-lived relationship, but yep, that's what it is.
Well, yeah, thanks for the update there, Blaine. All right, so I think we can move down to the PRs and issues discussed. We did discuss this one earlier here, right, Travis?
Yep, we already did.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Then let's any action items to go over.
Yeah, I put a couple on there just to review. So the doc that I've got for storage provider proposal, I do want to kind of translate it into official documentation for guidance for storage providers to look at as they're considering joining or to maintain their project. So I need to open that PR. And then and have that public discussion on it. As far as the 1.6 roadmap, this was just a carryover from last time. I did write some thoughts down, and Seb and Blaine and I also brainstormed on it. So I'll open that roadmap PR soon. And that's it.
Sounds good. Cool. All right, that's the end of the agenda items here. Any other topics that folks wanted to bring up?
No, I just want to add up onto what Travis just said. Do we need to have a documentation item for the roadmap, or can we just have a backlog instead? And we move cards from one releases to another, or because I feel like it's easier to update cards and link them to issues instead of, and it would be potentially more up to date instead of adding a doc page for that. But I don't have any preference. It's just just a question, I guess.
Yeah, with every release, it's always an ongoing item. Like, do we need this or not? That's a great question. I feel like whatever is helpful for the community. I don't feel like we get much feedback on the roadmap, honestly, but I feel like people knew the project. It's one of those things that they will go look for if they want a high level view. So I
but
try
maybe
to,
they could be more like they could give more insights if the roadmap was public, in the sense that it could be part of the like the cards. Like we could have items as part of GitHub issues, and we just put all of them into the backlog. So it would be easier for people to interact with an issue, instead that, okay, I'm looking at the doc, and then like, how do I interact with that? Do I open an issue to explain that the doc says something and I want to discuss that particular item? You see? Or yeah.
We could still keep the doc to make it like easy for people to find, but really just have that be nothing but a little like explanation that we track our roadmap using GitHub milestones or whatever, and then just link to there, and then just make sure that we either link to just the milestones overall, so they can click whatever release they want, or we just update the release number every time.
Yeah, and I think there's two reasons that I have kept updating that, or wanting to update that roadmap. So, so first of all, it forces us to think about where are we going with the project, and at a higher level than individual issues. And second of all, people who want just the 30-second glance at what's going on, or maybe the 5-minute overview, like they can just glance through it and see it. If they have to go read through individual issues on a project board, it's just a lot harder to get that quick overview.
Yeah, that's right. So, and how about could we leverage GitHub discussions now to get more interaction with the roadmap? So instead of, well, maybe again, use the doc to link that, but link to the discussion. And each time we update that, we open a new discussion so that it's live almost.
So it's more dynamic, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you just post all of that into a discussion. It's a new thread, and we just, resurrect the thread or just add a new one. But this way we encourage the discussion, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, well, I think I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that like having a project roadmap, at the root of the repo. Well, first, it's definitely a very common convention, and that people can expect it even if they don't know much about the project. They can find it there. They can see everything listed in one place there without having to get interactive, and it's nice on mobile and all that. It's just easy to consume overview there. But I think it's also like the infrastructure code best practices badge thing. It's like a requirement for one of those requirements too, that the project has like a roadmap.md at the root that's updated and stuff like that too. So it seems to be like it's a not just convention, but it's also kind of like an expectation as well too. So I would be hesitant to make too many changes to that simple flow there. Maybe you can make it additional. So you have like some items listed there, but then have like a link to, hey, if you want more interactivity or to see it dynamically updated over time as people are working, like here's a link to the board, maybe that's useful. But having like a static roadmap where people can read it as simple markdown seems to be a fairly common convention and expectation.
Right, and I think we need to make sure the roadmap stays high level, because as soon as it starts tracking individual issues, it's just too much detail, and that's what we should use the project board for. But yeah, I agree with you, Jared, that, well, and I didn't realize that actually about the badge and all that, but it makes sense. If people expect it and it's a convention, then
okay, I wasn't aware of that convention, but I think it's fine to have it. It's just that I'm afraid that sometimes it will be outdated, but we can work around that, I guess.
Yeah, I think the themes in it should hopefully not get out of date, like the specific issues and stuff. That state is better tracked with a more dynamic tool. But then the roadmap, as Travis mentioned, should be more high level than that. Like, what are the themes that we're accomplishing?
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, I think if we don't already, I think having the roadmap also point to the project board is a good thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's where we can get nitty gritty about stuff.
Cool. Yeah, good discussion, good feedback, guys. All right, anything else then? All right, then we can go ahead and wrap it up for this week. Thanks everybody for the first 2021 Rook community meeting here, and we'll see everybody online.
Yeah,
All right,
thanks.
Have a
See
good
you,
day,
everybody.
Yeah.
Have a good day.